Good morning, everyone. Kelly Akers here. I just wanted to give something that I open my Bible up to a lot. And I also want people to understand that I don't just believe in our Bible. I believe in all Bibles and anything that has anybody talking about God. I understood a long time ago that when somebody says, my God, they quite literally mean it in almost like a possessive type way. Because when a person says, my God, in the Bible, is because they actively went out and pursued a relationship with God to the point that they understood God and called it my God in a possessive type way. And we believe that when we go through the Bible and we read all of these different people, that they're all talking about the same thing. And in a way they are, because everything is one. We are all one. But each individual person has their own walk and mission with God. And that is why there's a lot of things that contradict themselves within the Bible. Because what you're looking at is not one God, as in he doesn't change. You're looking at one God through the eyes of a person who actively went out to find God, found God in their own way, and then testimonied that God back to you. So it is their account of what they seen, what they heard, what they understand. So in the Old Testament, a lot of that is the one God that that person had, that person understood, that person knew. So in the Old Testament, that's what you're reading. In the New Testament, you were reading about the walk of Jesus Christ, the man they call Jesus Christ, and people's encounters with that man as he walked. And that, once again, is why it contradicts itself. You can actually, in the Bible, hear 5 different stories in the New Testament about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. What Mary Magdalene's seen. Sometimes it says that she's seen 2 angels. Sometimes it says it contradicts itself. And the reasoning why it contradicts itself is because it is a testimony from a person who witnessed the walk of Jesus besides Paul. Paul did not physically witness the walk of Jesus. Paul actually condemned Christians through the Roman hierarchical system. For years he did this. He killed and maimed Christians for being Christians because they were going against the Roman hierarchical system and traditions of the time. So Paul's main point was to eradicate Christianity because it was causing issues to the Roman Empire. It is stated that Paul was encountered by Jesus Christ himself, like as in Jesus Christ's spirit. Paul did not physically see Jesus Christ walk. 100 years after Jesus Christ's death, Paul encountered this because he was persecuting Christians. And it said that Paul encountered the spirit of Jesus Christ, who asked him basically to stop and to join his mission, and showed him what the true mission was. Well, at this point in time, the Christian religion, which at the time period that Paul was trying to eradicate Christianity, was not as it is today. It was not a part of a hierarchical system, because that's exactly what Jesus had spoken against. He spoke against a master being above his servant, etc., etc. These people were actually leaving the churches, and they came into a large, gigantic issue where people were not going to the temples anymore. There was no money basically being made through their temples and the selling of the things that Jesus, quite frankly, flipped and had a fit over. The things I still see in churches today. You can walk into many churches just in Sandusky and Norwalk, and the first thing that you're going to walk into is a place where you can buy hoodies, cups, sweatshirts, etc., etc. Well, you can tell right away that they're not following the teachings of Jesus Christ, because Jesus was very angry about that. He literally flipped the money changers' tables over because they were not making church what it actually was supposed to be, which is a gathering of people trying to figure out or connect with God, their creator who created them, and understand their life. It became a debauchery of selling and what you see today. There is a very small, and I love this part in the Bible because, of course, it really spoke to me. And when I first started my soul's journey and trying to figure out the things that I was trying to figure out, I would say a prayer basically over the Bible and ask God to protect me. And I highly suggest that people do this just as I did this. So when I went out on my soul's journey, I was very, very adamant. I was very adamant about knowing the truth, about being protected from that truth, about being protected from lies. I'd already, at the point in time that my soul's journey had started, I had already seen the hypocrisy. So that was what I was going to God for, was I didn't understand what I was seeing. So like, for instance, and a lot of times I bring up some of my family situations, and it's because I need to heal from them. I didn't have family that came and tried to help me to understand anything in life. Even when I asked, I got mocked, ridiculed, called a demon, evil, so on and so forth. It was insanity. So I really needed to understand, as a child being raised up in this church, why I was reading these teachings of to love, to help your family, to not judge. But every Christian that I knew was not actually doing all of these things. As a child, I even opened up my Bible at one point in time, or heard from my pastor reading it, that if you didn't help your family, that you were worse than an unbeliever. And as a child being raised in such toxicity, I really thought that this Christian family didn't understand or didn't know that I was going through this. And this is not true. They absolutely did know that I was going through what I was going through, and not one of them tried to help me. Not one of them, when I was a child, came to me or through God and tried to protect me from the evils in which I was in. So this really confused me as a child, especially because I had a uncle who I do not really know, but he was very wealthy, and he owned and was the pastor of this multi-million-dollar church. And he would send these postcards every year of him in his beautiful houses with views of the ocean. And as a little girl being abused by my dad, I would collect these up and basically imagine him like my church was telling me he was supposed to be. So in my head, I had no doubt that this man was going to know that these things were happening to me. And because he had this multi-million-dollar church and he was this big pastor, I had to have God, right? And he was going to come and save me. But he never did. And the worst part about this, I don't blame him for not coming to get me. He had his own things coming on. But from my point of view as a child, knowing that this was my family and not being able to be a part of this family, this good side of this family, this side of this family that was able to have stability and able to stay in one spot for long periods of time, and able to have swimming pools and love and hugs, and none of this, I didn't get any of this when I was a child. So I wanted it, and I seen it around me, but was very confused as to why I wasn't allowed to have that love, that support, and that stability. And the worst part about it even more is that this Christian family really made me feel like the reasoning why I was being beat, molested, and treated like I was as a child is because I deserved it, because my mother was not a Christian, and my mother didn't go to church on Wednesdays and Sundays. So because my mother was not a Christian, I deserved to be put through what I was put through. And I believed this. I believed this for so long I believed it. But there is a part in the Bible, folks, that I have to talk to you guys about, because what I express is directly inside of our Bibles. And what Satanism does is it gives us the truth. right in front of our faces, but then allows us to illusion that truth in whichever ways our minds come up with, which is very great for them because it allows the elites to be within the universal laws. There are certain universal laws that you have to be within. Speaking the truth is one of them. So they, in fact, give us the truth all the time, but nobody actually opens the book and reads it. They just go to church on Wednesdays and Sundays and expect their pastor to give them God. Well, I've been telling people for 10 years that that is absolutely impossible, and that Jesus Christ himself in his teachings told us not to become teachers, rabbis, and that any father, we're not supposed to call fathers, no hierarchical system. And there's a big reasoning for that. You can't have a heaven on earth with a hierarchical system. It does not work. So let me read this part. This is 2 John. It's like a paragraph long. It says, "The elder to the elect lady and her children, whom I love in truth, and not only I, but also who knows the truth, because of the truth that abides in us and will be with us for forever. Grace, mercy, and peace will be with us from God the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Father's Son, in truth and love. I rejoiced greatly to find some of your children walking in the truth, just as we were commanded by the Father. And now I ask you, dear lady, not as though I were writing you a new commandment, but the one we have had from the beginning, that we love one another. And this love, that we walk according to his commandments, this is the commandment, just as you have heard from the beginning, so that you should walk in it. For many deceivers have gone out into the world, those who do not confess the coming of Jesus Christ in the flesh." This is letting you know that the man that they call Jesus Christ is coming back again. And I will let you in on a little secret. If you replace resurrection with reincarnation, it will make a lot more sense to you. Resurrection and reincarnation are pretty much the same exact thing. And this slight play of words is something that our elites are constantly programming within us. They give us something, and then a thought process through our televisions or through what they say, so on and so forth, that make the image of what it is actually what it's not. So when you hear the word, you think of something that is untrue, and that thought process has got to go. Says, and I'll go back a little bit, says such a one is the deceiver and the antichrist, letting you know that if there is a person that comes through and tells you that there is no reincarnation, that they are deceiving you. And reincarnation itself has been the biggest lie and the biggest deception. To tell somebody that they have one life and one life only is a fib. Now, there are people that don't reincarnate, but you do not want to be the person that doesn't reincarnate. You want to be the person that reincarnates. And the person that doesn't reincarnate, they reincarnate, but not with a body. Let's put it that way. Watch yourselves so that you may not lose what we have worked for, but may win a full reward. Everyone who goes on ahead and does not abide in the teachings of Christ does not have God. Whoever abides in the teachings has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this teaching, do not receive him into your house or give him any greeting, for whoever greets him takes part in his wicked works. Let me express how important that actually is, because we believe that we are following the teachings of Jesus Christ by just going to church on Wednesdays and Sundays and paying our tithes. And the reasoning why this works is because it's part of universal law, but it ends up screwing the masses. So you're going into universal law and you're doing just enough to provide comfort, basically. And that comfort keeps you stuck. And it keeps you stuck in a lie and an illusion. And you can feel this stuck. You're suffering and you're miserable inside. You know that you were meant for something more. that something more just keeps eating and eating and eating and eating away at you. But the fear of going out and stepping, and I have this fear too, I understand it, keeps you stuck. And within being stuck, you cannot feel what you're supposed to feel for God. And that's by being God's person, by literally going out and saying, God, what did you make me for? Who am I? Why am I here? Asking these questions and then getting and receiving the answer, and every single day actively in whatever way you possibly can, healing from the fear of these worlds to fear only God. And also to have the strength to carry out that mission, because this world is so deceiving. You're really going to have to try. You're going to have to pull back onion layer by onion layer by onion layer. For 10 years, I have been doing this. One of the biggest things that when I had gotten my visions and what God had given me, I feared was leaving my family, friends, and etc. behind, because what God had given me was so simple and so beautiful, and I could see the brainwashing and I could see the programming, and I know that people are not evil, that it's really the brainwashing and the programming that makes them do what they're doing. That's one of the things with the Seed of Zion and this narcissism awareness. This narcissism awareness is not to judge a narcissist. I actually am with a narcissist myself right now that is in the process of healing. And I am a empath who has been through dark empathetic times, and I am also healing too. And the two of us are healing together and allowing the veil to be lifted from the lie and the illusion of this world. But it tells you right here in the Bible that if you do not follow the teachings of Christ, that you do not have God and the Father. And following the teachings of Christ is not judging, loving your neighbor. These things that Jesus said, he said them because unless we do them, we cannot receive or have a heaven on earth. There is no heaven on earth if there is jealousy, envy, strife, vengeance, all of these things, these bad, darker emotions that people feel are literally destroying us from having an equal heaven on earth. So if, like for instance, we would have listened to the teachings of Jesus Christ, we have so much abundance right now in the world that literally Elon Musk could give everybody $1 million in America and still be a rich man. Still be a rich man. There are people out here that own 10 houses with literally 10 vacant houses per every one homeless person. We have children that are starving in other countries. Like we throw away literally 5-star restaurant food in the trash because we are afraid that somebody might get the recipe for it. I worked for a restaurant like this. This is why I'm saying it. I worked for a 5-star restaurant that every single night they would throw away every inch of their food. Not even the people that worked there themselves were allowed to take it home because they were afraid that somebody basically was going to break down the ingredients and then copy it at a different restaurant. We have literally 2 million children starving to death just in Uganda, just in one city. We have bombs going off all over this place. So it's evidently clear that we are not listening to Christ's message, because none of this would be occurring. And I am warning you guys that listening to Christ's message is literally not judging, loving your neighbor as yourself, seeking wisdom and knowledge. Now, if a pastor, priest, etc., has done and went into their hierarchical system, well, you can evidently clearly know, and I'm not telling you to judge them, I'm telling you them to be weary and to love that pastor enough to look at him and to be honest, because that's what I've been doing lately. I have spoken to many pastors and I have just been honest. How are you listening to the teachings of Jesus Christ if you didn't listen to the simplicity of not becoming a teacher, rabbi, father, or pastor? That hierarchical system that Jesus was trying to eradicate. The reasoning why he washed his disciples' feet was because one person cannot be above another in a heaven on earth. It cannot exist. People have to love one another with full complexities of love to be able to get that heaven on earth. You cannot covet your neighbor. And in a world where Jesus taught and where Jesus' teachings would be applied, those at the top would not be at the top like they are, because they were told to give everything down at the bottom. Now imagine with me for a second if that really actually occurred. If every single billionaire up at the top gave away all of their wealth to those down at the bottom. We'd live in a heaven on earth. As we speak, we would live in a heaven on earth. We do not live in that heaven on earth because we are not listening to the teachings of Christ. And if you do not listen to the teachings of Christ, say hi. Hi. If you do not listen to the teachings of Christ, then you do not have the Father, the Son, or God inside of you. It's just that simple. Do not let your prides and egos of being brainwashed and destroyed by a bunch of evil elites take you over from the beauty that is about to come to this earth, that will come to this earth when souls band together in unity, love, and divinity in the right way. You cannot be a spiritual person and not understand this. You cannot be a spiritual person and not really strongly have that want to unify, to give divinity to all. That is the issue even in our spiritual awakening happening, is the jealousy is still very prevalent. You're not healed. We need to all heal, and nobody's healed. Nobody is healed enough to say, I've got it right now on this planet. It does not exist. I will be the first person to tell you that every single day of my life, I beg and plead for my veils to be lifted, an armor to be put on, that any kind of falsity, lie, deceit, anything that is not true, please do not allow it to come into my life. And that prayer is very, very important right now. Everybody needs to cover themselves in an imaginary white light that reflects all the dark off. What we are fighting against is our own happiness, is our own joy, and our own peace. I have been, and there is not a level of wealth that I have not seen except for the elites like Elon Musk, and I've seen him in enough videos to understand he's not happy either. So these people are teaching us to be narcissistic and miserable, to be medicated, to be unhappy. These teachings that Christ taught teaches you how to be happy within, to the point that you need no outside nothing. The happiness comes from within you without any kind of material need or necessity, because you know that God takes care of you. You know that God is going to be there for you. You know that if something does not work out, that it was because God was trying to teach you a lesson. And this right here, this time period, is the lesson. So everything that we are doing in this time era is for learning. It is for learning what not to do when the heaven on earth comes. So when the new earth comes, those who enter that new earth, those 144,000, they are going to be well equipped and know what went wrong here. They're going to understand because they lived in it. So God literally put me in the toxicity that I was in so that I could speak about it right now and heal it. Because you cannot heal something if you hide it and hide it and hide it and hide it and hide it. And here's another great example from my Christian family. My family ridiculed me for being a drug addict when I was younger. And I want to put this out very clearly. I was 14 years old in Norwalk, Ohio, and had at least 3 different times went to the police stations in Norwalk and Sandusky and expressed the abuse that I was going through. And not anything ever got done. In fact, in Sandusky, when I expressed that abuse of my dad, they called my dad to come and pick me up, who took me 2 blocks down into an alleyway and literally beat the living shit out of me until I couldn't breathe. And when my dad beat you, you didn't cry. You went straight to trying to catch your breath. Literally told me that if I tried to pull a stunt like that again, that he would kill me and my mother, and I believed him, and I knew that I didn't have any kind of protection from it. And that has been true the whole 40 years of my life. I have never in my life fully seen our systems work. even to the point where it harms so much more. Like, for instance, with me, if I wouldn't have found God, I would truly be a wreck right now. And sometimes I really truly think that that would make people more happy. It would make people more happy that if I wasn't making it, that if what I found wasn't real. And that's sad. If you're one of those type of people that are looking for somebody to not make it because it will make you feel better about yourself, you've got to stop. You got to stop. The whole point is to support and lift one another up. But I've seen so much that doesn't work, so much that isn't working in our society, for me to even understand, since this Epstein file thing came out, why we are even wanting to be a part of the government anymore. And I think I have figured that question out too. So I have always been in poverty, and I'm hitting that extra step in life right now where I guess you could call me middle class. That middle class division, the ones that really get on the people that are getting food stamps, etc., get a lot of government funding. and this is what like blows my mind. So here's the gap difference between the poverty and the middle class that really pushes that poverty into existence. And it's true. So we have a group of middle class people that are nasty. They're not nice. They're not supporting. They're not pulling people up. They're trying to drag people down. If they think that somebody's prettier than them, somebody has a better body, somebody might get to a higher position, their main point and purpose is to push you down. And they push you down by laughing, making fun of you, innuendoing, passive aggressive comments, all things that break the nervous system. So one of the things that I have seen big inside of my life is the middle class really downing people on food stamps. People on food stamps that are collecting food stamps are normally mothers, etc., that need to feed their kids. And I want you guys to think real strong about this for a second. So it really bothers the middle class people. So if you're a person that is there down degrading even that mother that had an extra kid so she could get some food stamps, if you were sitting there degrading, I promise you that I could get into your taxes and find a slew of government funding that outweighs that little bit of money that fed them children. And instead of you thinking, well, she's feeding her children, instead of you caring that the children were being fed, you cared more to try to bully that mother into then working 6, 7, 8. How many jobs did she have to work to be able to support those children, guys? So you literally ridiculed a single mother who did not and could not, because of this society here. It's not like she made this society. For being on food stamps to feed children, when you collect so much government funding from nonprofits, from this loophole here, from this government funding here, from I get government funding because I do this here, and all that government funding is no different from the person who is collecting welfare. So why did we judge it? Why couldn't we just have been okay with people just trying to survive? What was the big deal about the middle class really down degrading that lower class for being poor when we both were doing the same thing? And I see this continuously and constantly right now. And I try really hard not to name names, but right now I know two people, two men about the same exact age. Both of them are on disability. Both of them do not work. Both of them live in trailers. Both of them have been without work for the same amount of time. The one neighbor will continuously talk about the other neighbor and his disability. How much of a piece of shit he is, how much he needs to work, how it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the entire time I'm scratching my head and I'm thinking to myself, you guys are in the exact same position. You're on disability too. You don't work either. You live in a trailer too. What makes you different from this man? And these two people have been living as neighbors for much longer than I could ever even imagine. 20, 25 years, I don't know. But instead of seeing that they're actually two peas in a pod, the one has literally destroyed the other's lives, and constant vengeance and constant nasty and constant just all the time. I mean, literally, he does not let up on this man who has literal PTSD from this neighbor doing this. Now, since I have been here, I have been watching a little bit of a progression where the one is standing up for itself, in which he should, because there is no difference. They both put their pants on in the same way. We are neighbors in love, light, unity, joy. Please, for God's sake, see that this is it's ridiculous. And as we fight one another, that's exactly what these elites want you to do. These elites want you not to be able to band together with your fellow neighbors so that you can actually have heaven on earth. Because as they sit up here in their luxuries and they sit up here, they do so by mind manipulating you down here. You are the builders, you are the function, you are the power, and you are the control. And the only reason why they get to sit up there so high is because you allow it. You allow it because you cannot do the things that Jesus Christ said he did. Now, in a world that Christianity is the largest religion in the world, how is that possible? How is it possible that Christianity is the largest religion in the world, and me as an abused, toxic fucking survivor, excuse me, I shouldn't have said that, an abused survivor, how did I have to work so hard to understand and find the truth when I was surrounded by people that could have kindly and in love and in light showed me that truth? But I've never seen it. Even in the support group that I just paid for, I literally watched as one lady got completely ridiculed every single day by another lady. This other lady in front of everybody would harm and hurt her, and not a one of us stood up, not even me. Then, on top of that, I seen them talking behind one another's backs. It's absolutely, this is a support meeting. This is a support meeting for small businesses in our community, and we're supposed to be joining forces and helping to make a better community, but that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is making masks and pretending so that and I go somewhere. I feel better. I feel good. And it's got to stop. Some of the things with this whole perversion, and I want to make this very clear too, I've been through my sexual perversions like you wouldn't believe, and this is one of the reasons why I'm advocating against it and I'm standing up against it, because I have seen it destroy multiple women and men as they believe that this is the cool and right way to go, but cannot deal with it. I am watching with my own two eyes right now women who have had their children severely harmed and hurt, children molested, children raped, children harmed and hurted. They are harmed and hurt because a woman is allowing sexual perversion into her life, not really because she actually likes it. What she actually likes is the attention that she gets from it. So the attention of being the sexual perverted person allows multiple men to notice her, and she likes this noticing. And then if one's good looking enough, because we don't think correctly, we don't think about what's in the heart, we're just looking at the outside of the body. So if one's good looking enough, it doesn't matter how perverted this man is, he's handsome, and my pride and ego is going to feel good saying that this is my man to all of my friends and family. I'm going to let this man into my house. And when you let that man inside of your house, he harms and he hurts your kids. And then when he harms and hurts your kids, and you figure out that he harmed and hurt your kids, that he didn't love you, that he was not there for you, he was there for the sexual perversions, you cannot understand why you can't get a good man. You cannot get a good man, and this is me. I made these mistakes, okay? This is how I know them. You cannot get a good man because you are trying to bait that man through sexual perversions that you're not actually okay with. If you were okay with them, hair wouldn't be falling out. Your body wouldn't be giving out. We can make things look very, 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 very pretty on camera. And this is why I do not get ready. None of that stuff. I'm a beautiful girl. I know how pretty I am, but I am not, for the life of me, I don't want your attention if you just want to attention me because of my looks. I don't want to know you if you just want to know me for benefits and gains. And this is what I'm talking about narcissism being embedded in our community so strongly that we don't see it, and it destroys the narcissist and it destroys the person that the empath that is involved in it. Both people get destroyed. We live in a society where either you hide behind closed doors that this is happening, or you be like me and you finally stand up against it because you realize that all of the hurt, pain, and suffering that you're going through, you actually caused yourself. And you caused yourself it by literally going against the teachings of Jesus Christ. We are so concerned with the name Jesus Christ, so concerned about, look at the teachings. Take those teachings right now and start applying them to your life. And number one, stop judging. Stop judging, for God's sakes. That should be the number one thing that you start doing. Stop judging. Because I will tell you right now that God has put me in people's path just to test their judgment. Just to see if they were really for God as they claimed that they said that they were. I understand the mystery of Jesus Christ. I understand it because I asked for it. I understand it because I accidentally did things that I didn't know were possible until they happened. And when they happened, I was kind and loving enough to go and try to give this freely out, and I still will. That just from here on out, I just do not care about, I'll know the right people that are supposed to be in my life. In the Bible, it talks about this. Jesus literally says that he came to put a sword in between families. Well, I'm going to express why he came to put a sword in between families. He came to put a sword in between families because I have literally with my two eyes witnessed and watched people not do things because they didn't want their mom to look at them a certain way. They did things that they shouldn't have done because of the pride and the ego of what my pastor may think, or the harm and the hurt and the fear of what my dad will think if I do that, or so on and so forth. And because they did not follow what they should have followed, they got themselves stuck in a hole of hell that they now can't get themselves out of because they are still surrounded by that same fear. And this is why fearing God and God only eradicates all the rest of the fears out here. So you need to basically take and put things back. I had to do this myself. So with my mission, my whole Zion project, the vision that I seen, the healing centers, etc., etc. When I put that all out on the line to my family, my friends, everybody, they laughed, made fun of me the entire nine. And had I had listened to them and not have let them go, I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. And people, I promise you that I will be in South Africa, and I promise you that I will be making these Ayurvedic detox centers, and I promise you that I'm going to help these orphans and these widows and these refugees, and I promise you that I'm going to make a difference on this world because it was my job from the beginning. It is fated to me. I had to learn to get over all of these fears. I had to learn to let my family go because I can't help them. If I continue to keep trying to give them what God has given me, then it takes away from me, and then I can't do my mission for God. And that's where we're at. So literally in the Bible, God says that you are going to have to, Jesus says, you're going to have to let go of your family. You're going to have to let go even your children. And I understand this even too. My son Deacon, I love him. I have so much love for all of my children. My children are the hardest part. And God is going to allow me to take my children because I just know God will. But I understand letting them go too. And I have literally looked at my son and I have told him, Deacon, I love you with every inch in me, but I love God more than you, and I understand the mission that God has given me. And if you do not stop, then I am going to have to leave you behind. If you cannot respect me, be kind to me, be loving to me, then I will leave you behind for God. If you do not do that, and you have a child that literally is laughing at you because you have a relationship with God, or telling you that you're crazy because of this relationship with God. It will hinder you and hold you back from your mission with God. And in the end, if you just went to your mission with God, I promise you all the rest of the people would have came too. Because once they see you succeeding, which is the promise of God, God tells you that he'll take care of you. So once he sees that you are succeeding, your family sees that you succeed, I promise you they're going to start listening. They're going to start, then okay, because she's got a house and then they'll listen. It just is the way of this world right now. This world is going away. A new world is coming in. We have just switched from the the Piscean age into the Aquarian age. These generational switches are spoken about in the Bible. The Bible does not talk about the end of the world. It talks about the end of the generation. We are in the end of that generation. We are currently in the Aquarian age, and that Aquarian age is coming with new. And the new is every inch of Jesus Christ's teachings in their validity. And if you do not apply these teachings, I promise you're going to regret it. So what are the teachings? Love your neighbor, seek wisdom and knowledge, don't judge, love people and treat people as you want to be treated.
Mom,
if you have anything to give,
Mom,
give it away.
Mom,
Yes,
can I
love.
take something out there?
I could hear you yelling back there. Why were you yelling?
Because it's I make something in our bedroom and it's so hard.
I'll be back there in a second, okay? Let me let this video go.
Oh, I picked something out
Lastly,
there.
if you are listening to a pastor, father, rabbi, teacher, stop. You have one teacher. It's the Christ. That teacher has left a spirit for you. It is called the Spirit of Truth. If you ask for these spirits, in which Jesus Christ told you to ask for, that spirit will be given to you, and you will see just as I see. Start applying the messages of the man you guys call Jesus Christ. Do not allow this world and your pride and ego to take the best of you in this time period. Don't allow it to do so. Every single day, I'm going to come and I'm going to get better at all of this stuff. And eventually you will see me in South Africa as an Ayurvedic doctor making Ayurvedic detox centers, because that is what Jesus Christ was teaching.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ was not just teaching you that he could heal and he could grow and he could do certain things. He was teaching you how to become him.
Yeah.
You can heal with your hands.
Yeah.
You can grow with your hands.
Yeah.
You can do the exact same things that Jesus Christ said himself. Tell him, baby. Tell him, listen.
No.
Tell him. Say, listen. Listen to Jesus Christ's message. Tell him. Say, listen to it. Stop listening to man. Man cannot give, I can't give you God, but you can give yourself God. You can go outside, you can start picking up these teachings, which are, listen, and if you're against Jesus's teachings, his teachings were very simple, guys. They were love, I mean, come on. Love, not judge, so on and so forth. It's a whole different subject if you don't want to live in a world of love and non-judgment and equality. God, just please keep those type of people away from me, because if you're okay and you're living okay in this hell of a mess right now, I don't understand it and I don't want to, and that's the truth. I just simply don't want to. I don't believe that there is any real true evil, even like the people that are messing up right now, Elon Musk, so on and so forth. They are gods. Trump, he is God's, and God has his own special mission for them. I don't believe that these people all the way purposely did what they did. I think that good intentions went bad and continued to go bad, and then pride and ego's pumped up, and once put on the hierarchical system, can't come down. And that's why there can't be a hierarchical system. When you get to the hierarchical system and you got all these people down below you, you can't fall. And if you fall, then it does something really bad to you, and it's not good. in my college right now. I'm learning so much. I mean, it blows my mind how much I was made fun of for coming out with this message and sticking with it for 10 years. I mean, I couldn't and not. God wouldn't let me, and that's the truth. There are many a times in the past 10 years that I completely just wanted to give up. I wanted to give up because I knew God had already told me that I wasn't going to convince too many people, that I would run around and I would try to give them the fire of my heart, and that each one of them would shake their head and walk away, and I would be left in a devastated mess. And that, in fact, came true. So please understand that when I'm going out here and I am trying to give this message out, I may talk it like I'm talking it right now, but you have no idea how many nights, how many days, how many times that I have literally broke knowing what is coming and knowing how easy it could be to change it, and how hard it is in the same breath because of prides and egos and the mass illusionments that our government has given to you. And as I tried very hard to show people that the government was up to no good for the last 10 years and got ridiculed heavily on it, I am glad that God didn't give up on me, because I almost gave up on God. And I almost gave up on God because of the people in general. I've been in such toxicity my entire life. I don't meet too many good people, and that's the honest to God's truth. It's always some kind of narcissism. It's always some kind of sleight of hands. It's always some kind of weirdness. It can never be just straight and narrow. It's always got to be, if a person is around you, it's because of what you have or what they can receive from you. And we have become a nation that is so sickened that I hermit. I don't go out in the world anymore. And in the last couple of times that I have tried, God has really showed me how bad it is, because in a small town like Norwalk, Ohio, we should have a lot more love and kindness towards one another. And maybe if we had some of that here in Norwalk, Ohio, we wouldn't have had lost so many people during the heroin epidemic. Because while everybody was judging those children who had got on heroin, those adults were also doing medications from their doctors. And in the end, both the adults and the kids ended up on some kind of pain reliever, some kind of numbing, because we just simply can't deal with this world. And instead of trying to understand and see that, we judged, and we lost a massive amount of people, a massive amount, because we simply could not open up our hearts, be kind and nice to one another. And if you do not start, I can promise you that everything that you have stacked up on this world is absolutely going to mean nothing, because you can't take it with you when you die. So right now and right here, if you're hearing my message and you understand it, please listen to this. If you have anything that you're not using, give it away. And all of these type of things will stop the elites from dead in their tracks. So if you haven't used anything in the last year, give it away. There are people out in the world that are needing things, they can't buy it, that are being that there's 100,000 of them stuck in garages and attics and basements that never get used, and that's completely asinine, and it's a major waste. We are so neglectful and wasteful, and we run not ever understanding what we're running for. What are we running for? We have these programmed images in our head of this American dream that doesn't exist for most people nowadays. And even if it did, it's a bunch of chains that you can't get out of. Those chains end up chaining you so heavy and so hard that you get stuck. And that is what Jesus Christ meant by many of the wealthy will be taken away by that wealth. So when you get the kingdom of God and you search for the kingdom of God, it is a guarantee that God is going to take care of you. But unfortunately, that wealth overtakes the majority. And that's what Jesus meant by it. I hope everybody has a blessed day. And from here on out, I'm just going to give as much of my knowledge as I possibly can. Hope it helps somebody else out. Hope it helps my nonprofit and the Seed of Zion movement, which is the narcissism awareness, trying to show people that this narcissism is killing us all. It's killing the narcissist, and it's also killing the narcissist victims. So have a blessed day, and listen to Jesus Christ's message, guys, so that we can Go to a heaven on earth.
Yeah.
And listen to Scarlett.